Here at Anything Cameras, Noah and I love lighting. We think it is vital to any photo or video. There's a problem though. Most people telling you how to light will say, 3-point lighting, you're good to go, that's all you need to know. And that is the problem, because they leave out something that they think beginners don't need to know, but we think you should know. That's something that they leave out is lighting has more purpose than just making a video look nice. Hello, I am Leif from Anything Cameras, a channel that focuses on helping you improve your filming and photography. In the world of cinematography and photography, lighting was mastered very early on. Cinematographers and storytellers in the movie industry figured out very early on that lighting was incredibly important. Now, why storytellers? That is because the purpose of lighting that we hinted at in the intro is to tell a story. To explain this purpose in lighting, we need to first understand that there is no right or wrong in lighting. Nothing is good lighting and nothing is bad lighting. There is generally what looks good and what doesn't look good, but you may want either of these depending on the situation and the story you're trying to tell. This is because lighting is all about emotion. Its purpose is to enhance the emotion that a viewer feels in a video. Now, to understand how emotion is portrayed through lighting, think about movies. A common theme throughout movies that have a villain, a really bad guy, they often use this one lighting technique to give the impression of an evil character when showing the villain. This lighting technique is a silhouette or a dark and moody look. I've been expecting you. No, I really have. I'm expecting you to be looking at this scene and seeing how scary it looks. The blood red background and the silhouetted figure. You've probably seen something like this in quite a few movies. Maybe there's a gangster on the street and he's holding his gun facing off with the good guys. And the shot pans over to him and he's silhouetted, car headlights behind him, gun in hand. Street lamp behind, spilling a little light across the scenery behind him. Yes, this is pretty common. What I just described features in so many movies. It's actually astonishing. Just look for it next time you watch a gangster movie or some sort of crime show. You'll probably find it somewhere. Even in YouTube or any other form of entertainment, lighting is just as important. Would you watch all our videos if we looked like spooky villains all the time, like this lighting setup? Probably not. So let's turn all those lights back on. Now that looks better. Now, where was I? Yes, lighting, emotion, spooky villains, okay. Now even in advertising, and I shouldn't even say even, especially in advertising, the advertiser is just utilizing lighting to manipulate your emotions to make you want to purchase something. If the advertiser is emphasizing a before and an after, they'll probably use a dull, sad lighting in the before and a more bright, vibrant, attractive lighting in the after. In educational content like this, we go for a clean, more corporate feel to our lighting. This makes us look more professional and reputable, not like the spooky villains from earlier. Now, in many high-budget films, people will use very expensive, fancy lighting. And the reason they use these is because it makes it easier to fine-tune and control the lights to get exactly the look you're going for. So now the good news is you don't need any expensive equipment to light. Actually, you don't need any equipment at all. You just need to utilize the resources that are given to you at birth. What am I talking about? What was given to me at birth? It's called the sun. Technically, it wasn't given to you, but it's available to everybody, so it doesn't really matter. Anyhow, I digress. The sun is the most powerful, most color accurate light available to anybody. A great way to use the sun as lighting is use a window. And you can achieve all sorts of emotions using just window light. We did a lighting tutorial on how to light using just a window, and we had a few different setups to portray different emotions. One of the setups where you're head on to the window and the sun's shining right on your face, it looks more clean and corporate, kind of like this setup. But another setup we had where the subject is kind of off to the side of the window, not facing it directly, and it kind of shadows half the face. It gives a more moody look to it, a little more sinister, or even maybe sad. And if you want to silhouette somebody with a window, well, that's easy. We've probably all done it in some family photo at some point where nobody can see anybody's faces. You just put people in front of the window and point the camera at the subject towards the window, and there you go. You got a silhouette. Similar techniques are utilized outdoors when lighting with the sun. You just position a little bit differently because the light is coming directly from the sun. So just a few different techniques. Now we also have a whole video on outdoor lighting setups if you want to look at that as well. Now, one example of why learning how to utilize the sun as a light is important is because once Noah, after a studio photo shoot, left his lights in somebody else's car who was giving him a ride to the location. Now luckily, Noah was friends with the person who gave him a ride, so he was able to get the lighting back. But before he was able to get back, he needed to film a YouTube video to go up the next week. So what did he do? Well, he used a new lighting setup where he used the window as his primary light, and it ended up looking amazing. And he ended up providing the feeling that he wanted to achieve. And in fact, the video did very well on our channel when it was released. It got twice as many views as average. Now this might not be completely due to the lighting, but it does show you that the lighting doesn't retract from it even if you just have to use a window. Now my last point is to briefly talk about practical lights and accent lights. So what are practical lights and accent lights? Well, they both fall under a category of a light that is not directly shining on the subject. It is to light the background, to add interest. But there is a difference between the two. A practical light is something that is in frame, such as the lamp over here. This adds some visual interest into the frame. It adds a little light and a little color to it. An accent light is not seen in the frame, it merely casts its light onto the background. And that would be the colored lights we have set up around the top to give color to our background. You saw we changed the color to red when we wanted it spooky, and here we have some teal here and some red over here just to add a little interest. Now you might be wondering what this big light behind me is, and this falls under the category of both a practical light and a subject light. And when I say subject light, I mean one that shines onto the subject and lights the subject. So lights can be both. Now not only do these practical and accent lights give visual interest to the background, they also portray an emotion. Because think about it, when I was silhouetted, would it have looked as spooky if the background wasn't red? Not really. So you can play around with background colors to give a certain emotion to a shot. Also, using practical lights, you can highlight a point of the scene that is very important. You want the viewer's interest to be attracted to it. So now make sure you keep watching this video, because next episode we're going to be talking about audio, and not just how to get good audio, but also how it helps you continue telling your story.